Good morning, third grade. Our target for today is I can represent area story problems using pictures and graphs. We know that area is the amount of space covered by an object, the total number of square units. We also know that a square unit is the unit that is used to measure area. It's a measurement whose sides have exactly the same length. To find the area of a rectangular object, you multiply the length of the rectangle times the width of the rectangle. Take a look at this rectangle here. We can see that this red rectangle is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units long and 1, 2 units wide. If I want to find the total area or amount of space that this rectangle is covering, I multiply 5 units long, the length, times 2 units wide, the width. Because I know that 5 times 2 equals 10, I know that the total number of square units in this rectangle is 10. Area is measured in square units. The answer to an area problem always includes square units. This is that same red rectangle we were just looking at. We decided because it was 5 units long and 2 units wide, the equation 5 times 2 would help us find the area because that's multiplying the length times the width. 5 times 2 equals 10. So the area of this rectangle is 10 square units. Oftentimes in our real lives, we see rectangular objects that we want to know the total area of, or how much space the object is covering. You can see that this is a picture of a rectangular rug that's 3 feet wide and 3 feet long. When we say that this rug is 3 feet wide and 3 feet long, we mean that it is 1, 2, 3 units wide on this side and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units long on this side. On this picture, you can actually see each unit and you can see how it's 3 feet wide and 8 feet long. If we wanted to find the total area of this rectangle, we would multiply the length of the rectangle, in this case 8 because the rectangle is 8 feet long, times the width of the rectangle, in this case 3 because this rectangular rug is 3 feet wide. 8 times 3 of course equals 24, so we know the total number of square units that this rectangle covers is 24. The area of this rectangle is 24 square feet. You'll notice I didn't say square units because units was not the unit of measurement used in this problem. This particular rug is 3 feet wide and 8 feet long. So the unit that we're talking about here is the unit feet. That's the unit of measurement we're talking about. Because it's 3 feet wide and 8 feet long, when we multiplied those two distances, 8 feet and 3 feet, we found the total number of square feet that this area is covering. In this case, 24 square feet. Let's take a look at another real-life example. Here you can see a garden bed. This garden bed is 2 yards wide and 6 yards long. You'll notice that the unit we're using to measure the length of the sides on this rectangular object is yards. Yards is another length of measurement. Since this rectangle is 2 yards wide and 6 yards long, I know I would multiply 6 times 2 or 2 times 6 to find the total area. 2 times 6 is 12, so the area of this entire rectangular garden bed, the amount of space that it's covering, is 12 square yards. Remember, your square unit will always match the unit used in the problem. In the first example, the rug was measured in feet, so our area was in square feet. In this case, our rectangular object is being measured in yards, so the area is in square yards. Here's another example. This is clearly a beautiful quilted blanket that's 4 feet wide and 5 feet long. I'm sure you're noticing that the unit we're using to measure the length is feet. So I bet you're already starting to think about what unit we would measure the area of this rectangle with. I know that if I multiply 5 times 4 or 4 times 5, it equals 20. So our area is going to be 20 what? What is the unit of the area in this problem? Yes, it is 20 square feet. Our unit of measurement for this problem is feet, and area is always measured in square units. So the area of this is 20 square feet. Take a look at this desk. I can see this desk is 2 feet wide and 8 feet long. You know that we'll multiply the length 8 feet long times the width 2 feet wide to find the total area of the top of this desk, or how much space it's covering. Think in your mind, what is 8 times 2? Oh yes, 8 times 2 or 2 times 8 equals 16. Now you need to think about what the unit of the area would be. Remember, area is always measured in square units. Yes, since the sides are 8 feet long and 2 feet wide, the area of this desk is 16 square feet. We have just one more example to look at. Here is a Dogman book, and you can see that the cover of this Dogman book is 4 inches wide and 10 inches long. I want you to think, what is the area of this Dogman book cover? You're right. The total area or amount of space that this Dogman book is covering is 40 square inches. Awesome job, 3rd grade. Now today, 3rd grade, what we're learning about is area story problems. An area story problem is a problem that represents the amount of space that is covered by a rectangular object. For example, an area story problem might sound like Abigail's blanket is 2 feet wide by 3 feet long. How many square feet is the area of the blanket? It's a problem asking us to find the area of a rectangular object. Some key words you would hear in a problem that would tell you it's an area problem would be long and wide, because we know area always has a length and a width. Feet, inches, yards, centimeters, something that's showing an amount of length or width that's measured, something showing a distance. And you also might see the word area or square, which all refers to the total area or final answer to an area multiplication story problem. We're going to use our problem-solving process to help us solve area story problems, just like when we solved addition and subtraction story problems earlier in the year. Our problem-solving process is first we read and understand the problem, figuring out what we know and what we're trying to find out. Then we plan to solve it. We determine the problem type and we organize our information, in this case using pictures and a graph. Next, we'll solve the problem. We'll choose an operation. Will we add or subtract? Will we multiply? How will we find the answer? And of course, we'll actually solve it. And then we'll look back and check to make sure that our answer is correct. Here's the problem we're going to solve today. Ted planted strawberries in a garden that is 9 yards long and 6 yards wide. How many square yards is Ted's strawberry garden? We're going to start by reading and understanding this problem. We'll ask ourselves, what do I know and what am I trying to find out? I'm going to read the problem again. You're going to think in your mind, what information do they tell us in the story problem? Ted planted strawberries in a garden that is 9 yards long and 6 yards wide. How many square yards is Ted's strawberry patch? Ooh, right away as I was reading that, I noticed that the story problem told me Ted's strawberry patch was 9 yards long. That's a length, so it's going to be an important piece of information. I also noticed that the story problem tells me his strawberry garden is 6 yards wide. That's another measurement of length. It's how wide it is. So that's also going to help me. I want you to take a moment and think, what is this story problem asking us to do? What is the question in this problem? The question, of course, is, how many square yards is Ted's strawberry patch? Now, I noticed a few key words, 3rd grade, that helped me know this is an area story problem. First of all, I noticed that it says 9 yards long. And I know that area story problems always talk about a rectangular object that has a length and a width, because area is length times width. I also see it says 6 yards wide. And again, yards wide tells me this is an area problem, because area is length times width. I also see in the question, it's asking me to find how many square yards the strawberry patch is. And of course, I know that square units is the measurement for area. So if it's asking me to find the total square yards or total square units, it's really asking me to find the area. This is clearly an area multiplication story problem. Now, third grade, we're going to take this information we've learned that the strawberry garden is 9 yards long and 6 yards wide, and we're going to go ahead and draw a rectangle using this grid. That's going to be the first step in our planning phase. We've determined the problem type, of course, and now we're going to organize our information. Take a look up here. It tells us that this strawberry patch is 9 yards long and 6 yards wide. One piece of information will go horizontally. It will be my horizontal side length, either 9 or 6, and the other piece of information will be my vertical side length. In this case, I'm going to put 9 yards vertically and 6 yards horizontally. Now that I know that this is going to be a 6 by 9 rectangle, I can go ahead and draw it. There's my 6 by 9 rectangle. Of course, if I wanted to find the total area, I could count every single one of these squares, but we have a better way of solving it. We'll talk more about that in a moment. I'm also going to draw a quick drawing of what this looks like. I'm going to go ahead and draw a 6 by 9 rectangle. There it is. It's 6 yards wide and 9 yards long. Now I need to ask myself, what does one of these squares represent in this word problem? When I look at my graph, what does just one of these squares represent? Well, I know if I counted every single one of these squares, it would tell me the total area, the total number of square yards. Of course, I'm not going to count every single one of those, because in third grade, we have a better way of solving area problems. But if I know that all of the squares are all of the square yards, what is just one of the squares? One of the squares, of course, is 1 square yard. Now, third grade, like we talked about, we could count every single square to find our answer, but as third graders, we have a better way of solving area problems. We can multiply the length times the width to find the total area. That multiplication equation would look like this. Oops, sorry, third grade, I got excited. It's time to solve. Now, back to thinking about that multiplication equation. What would that multiplication equation look like for this problem if our rectangular object, the strawberry patch, is 9 yards wide and 6 yards long? Well, of course, it would look like 6 times 9 equals n. What does 6 times 9 equal, third grade? You're right. 6 times 9 equals 54. So n equals 54. Now that I've found that n equals 54, and I know that n is the total area of the entire rectangle, I can go ahead and think, how would I answer the question to this problem? Let's look back at the question. How many square yards is Ted's strawberry patch? I'm going to make sure to include the units, square yards, in my answers. If I just said 54, that wouldn't be correct, because it's 54 square yards. What would be a great answer to the question, how many square yards is Ted's strawberry patch? I respectfully agree. The answer, Ted's strawberry patch, is 54 square yards in size, would be an excellent third grade answer. It restates the question and it includes the unit, square yards. The last step of our problem solving process, third grade, is to look back and check. Let's quickly look back and double check that our work is correct before moving on. Let's see here. Well, 9 and 6 are the lengths I used in my drawing and my graph, and I can see that 9 yards long and 6 yards wide is in fact what the story problem says. I multiplied 9 times 6 to find the total area, and that equaled 54. I'll check my work on my paper, and yes, I can see that's correct. Finally, I'm going to look at the answer I wrote in words. Does the answer I wrote in words match the story problem? How many square yards is Ted's strawberry patch? Ted's strawberry patch is 54 square yards in size. Yes, our answer is correct and reasonable. It's a great third grade answer to this story problem. Thank you for learning about area story problems with me today, third grade. We're going to learn more about area story problems together tomorrow. Have a great day, third grade.